Hello makers, this is going to be one of my projects for the Holtz Sizzix 2024 Halloween vault release, and I'm going to be using these dies and some papers to go with them. So let me really quickly go over the papers and the dies and then we'll get making. So the first die is the Coffin box, and I am going to be using the Coffin box out of this set. I'm going to be cutting it out of this piece of paper that I have colored on both sides with walnut stain, ground espresso, and hickory smoked distress stains. It was originally this color. It was the gray two-tone wood grain. If you have any of this, if you don't, the regular wood grain, you know, will work. It'll just look a little bit different. But this was a release from Tim and Ranger Ink for a Christmas release a couple of seasons ago. So I just pulled some out because I have a little stash of it and I wanted to use that for my Coffin. Now, the other one I'm going to use is it is the Fright Night, and I'm only using the cobweb and the little spider out of this one. For the cobweb, I will be cutting it out of this piece of gray cobwebby paper. So this is just from my stash, and I stamped the cobweb on it, so it was already colored to use for something, I don't know what. And so I used this stamp, the Webs and Domics CMS 276 stamp set from Tim and Stampers Anonymous. And I stamped it in Hickory Smoke Distress Archival. It looks like it was already colored with pumice stone and hickory smoke. And so I just stamped on both sides of it. This will be the cobweb, the little spider. I just pulled this out of my already colored and pre-made background stash. And so I'm going to cut the spider out of this probably. And then the third die set I'm using is the portraits. I am using the Scary Spider, and I'm cutting it out of a piece of black heavy stock because it's kind of suede and spidery looking. And then I am going to cut out one of these Sentiments, Boo or Fright. And again, I am reaching for a piece that I didn't use to make a card out of when I was practicing a background technique several Halloweens ago, at least 2 years. And so this is what I will use to cut the Fright or the Boo either out down here or probably across here. I don't think I want any orange coming through, so I'm going to stay away from these sections for this make. And I think I'm going to go with just kind of the blue, grayish, brownish tones. All right, so those are the things I am going to be cutting out. These are all going to be put on a vintage spring. So to make this project, if you want to make it, you're going to need a vintage spring. I know that when I made a project for the Vault 2 release a few months ago, that some people were commenting that they had springs, so that's great. If you don't, I purchased mine off of eBay. I did have to buy several. So I have quite a few to still use. I have put some on my eBay or my Etsy. And so if you'd like to buy some springs or a spring, you can check out my Etsy, links in my description below. But I'm going to be using this as the base that I'm building my scene on. And these come very rusty, so I want to show you right now how I deal with that so that I can cut things out of paper and not have rust all over them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started doing that. Let's fix the spring and get it ready so that we can start making. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get making. These vintage springs are pretty rusty, and that's one thing I love about them. But as you can see, you get it all over your fingers, and therefore you're going to get it all over your papers and things like that that you are working with. So I just take some collage medium, and yeah, Leota loves this part. So we take a little bit and we put it on, and then I just kind of rub it around, and be careful because it is sharp right there. So I don't want you to get cut if you have your own, or I have some on my Etsy shop. And so there's a link in the description for this video. But this is basically all I did on the last one, and that's what I'm going to do for this one. I know, sweet girl. So Leo just woke up from a nap and decided she wanted a little attention. Right when I started this, because she always, I know you hear me say it. She hears me say, hi, makers. And then she wakes up from her nap in the window and comes over and demands that I stop exactly what I'm doing and showing you. So anyway, I just do this all the way down, the whole thing. And I make sure that there's not, I don't want it clumpy like this. So you just keep going down around there and just seal that rust in. And I like the way it makes it a little bit darker. And there we go. So anyway, I'll keep going and I'll finish at the bottom here. And I'm going to do this to the second one also because I am making for Halloween and Christmas. And so I want a Halloween and Christmas spring. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all at the same time. And then when we come back, I'll go ahead and start putting all the things on them. Here you can see I've cut out the coffin box. I've cut out the words, the spider webs, the graveyard, tombstone, spiders, all of those things. And I'm just going through and putting a little bit of walnut stain distress ink on the edges of all of them. And I'm going to start to go ahead and assemble them. So I started with the tombstone and I just used some paper that I had in my stash that I showed you before, the black and then some of the gray. Cut the different pieces and I'm layering them on there for kind of the base part of my spring. I'm going to be putting the spider on this when I'm done. And so you can see those pieces go together very quickly. And I do believe that this is still available in some stores that die. So hopefully you can get them if you don't have it. And I know that Tim will do a great job of showing how to put this together. And usually when he does this, he uses the little mini clips from Ideology. And I just kind of held them while I was watching whatever was on TV while I was doing this. But putting the box together is very simple. And so I am sure that on the release video that you will be able to see Tim put this together. So I'll put a link in the description for this video and you can watch him go ahead and assemble this in a demo to show you how to do that. But it's actually really very simple. And all you have to do is follow the lines where you fold it and then go ahead and glue it together. Now, because I'm going to have the word Fright sticking up, I wanted to layer it and I also wanted to have something on the back. I also wanted to layer those spiders. You can see I have one spider going the other way. And I wanted to layer one set of the cobwebs because they're going to go on to the top of the spring and the bottom of the spring. And I wanted them to have some weight and some strength to be able to hold up the things that I'm going to put on top of it. So here's the one that I layered several times. And I'm just putting a little bit of the collage medium on the tips of it. And I am attaching it to the top there. I let it dry. And then I'm going to attach one of them onto the bottom of the spring just because I thought it would be interesting. So I have two for that. And then this is an extra one that I had, and I sprayed it with some distress hickory smoke and then crinkled it up and dried it because I wanted to put it into the box because it's going to hold up the word Fright. So that's what I'm messing around with it to try and get it in there so that I can glue it in and I can glue that box together. Now I wanted the box to be open instead of closed because this is really a mixed media decor piece. And so I wanted to kind of use that lid as something that people on the other side of this project could look at and also something that could hold up the word Fright. So here I am using the last of the cobwebs that I had left over, and this is going to go on the bottom of the spring again, just for a little bit of interest. so that the people looking from any side of this project are going to see something that they can enjoy, and also to give it kind of a haunted vintage spring feeling. Now for this one, because they're all different sizes, it didn't fit all the way around with the glue, but that's okay because it's on the bottom of the piece. Now you can see I'm putting a nice bit of collage medium on the bottom of that coffin box so that it will stick to the cobweb. And I know it's difficult to see, so I'm going to describe what I'm doing, and then later on I will be holding it up. But I'm putting some glue on the cobweb. I'm putting some glue on one of the kind of rings of the spring, or rungs of the spring, and then on the back and the bottom of that tombstone, so I can stick it to the bottom and it's going to be able to hold up those spiders. And then these little spiders, I'm just attaching to the ring at the top, and then a couple of the rungs as the spring goes down, so that there's little spiders kind of hanging off all the way down. I think just it just added just a cute fun element to this, since the other spiders are pretty big and pretty scary. These little ones just hanging down off of the spring add interest all the way down the spring. And you can see it takes a little while for that distressed collage medium to dry, and so the spring, I kept pushing it down onto one of the rungs to make sure it would stick. And now I have distressed collage medium on the bottom of the Fright, and I am just trying to get it in there so that it will stand up and rest against the top of that coffin box. And now I can start adding those spiders. So I have this one crawling up onto the top of the tombstone, and I think that's a great way to kind of showcase the big scary spider. And then I have the other one on the front of the coffin box. All right, friends, well, I'm coming down to the end of this, and so it's pretty much dry. I don't know how much you were able to see with me working. It's hard working on a project like this because you can't see unless I pull the phone down. So, and you can see I've been inking and inking. So this is what it looks like from the side. I have the Fright attached. I have the top of the coffin is on the back side, so that if it's sitting, you know, you still see everything okay. I did back the word Fright with black, and then I have one of the cobwebs is down inside, and it's kind of holding the Fright up. I have it kind of coming out the sides just a little bit as well, and onto the back, as you can see. Then I put the spider here going this way, so it's actually backwards of the way it cuts, and I have two spiders attached together, so it's nice and thick. And then I have two of the cobwebs attached together, and they are kind of the base. Like I use the doily on the one for the spring as the base for the nest, and so this one is the cobweb holding it up. And so because of that, I went ahead and used some of the little hanging spiders that come with the cobweb, and they are hanging from in the middle underneath, from the side, and then from the second one. So I just kind of wrapped it around for this one. Down at the bottom, I put another one of the cobwebs, and the bottom is a little bit bigger, and so it didn't quite fit, but that's okay because it sits down. So I'm not really too worried about it. I did get it to attach on several sides on the front. And then I added the large tombstone this is from last year's release, and it was this one that's called Graveyard 666383. And so I used one of those. I actually used this one on it over here, and so then I have a spider crawling up over it that way to give it just a little bit of creepiness. So I thought it needed a little bit of something else, and so I just took some mummy cloth and colored it with Pumice Distress Spray Stain and dried it. And I'm going to take some of this and just kind of tuck it in some areas that are a little bit not that great looking, like this end over here. I think I'll put some coming out there. I may put some just coming out of here as well, just for the fun of it. And then I think from back here, I'm going to put a little bit to cover up some of the area back in the back. And then I'm going to put some down here in front of the tombstone as well, and kind of in the back of the tombstone. And now I got to looking, and I really should have backed my tombstone with something as well, so that if you're looking from the back, it doesn't look so bad. I may go ahead and peel that off and then just do maybe a dark gray or something like that on the back of that. Cut that piece again. So yeah, I might do that. And then I can put a little bit of this behind it like that, and then a little bit in front of it. And that'll just give it just a little bit of a finish that I think I will like. Okay, so when I come back, I will have some of this put on and we'll be done. I thought I'd show you how I put the mummy cloth on my projects. Usually I'll squeeze a little bit of collage medium in the area where I want the mummy cloth, and then I'll go ahead and push it into place and let it dry. Sometimes I use an instrument, sometimes just my fingers. I'll usually kind of fringe it up a little bit, pull it apart, make it look a little frayed, and especially on this project because I wanted it to look, similar, to have kind of a spiderwebby feel to it. And so that's how I put my mummy cloth on. Well, makers, here is my finished Halloween spring, and I think it's super fun. I really like this one. So I have the double spider webs, one at the top and one at the bottom. And the one at the top fit a little bit better than the one at the bottom did. It seemed like the bottom part of this spring was a little bit bigger. The springs are all a little bit different sizes, a little bit unique in that way. And so sometimes you might have to add a little bit of paper, or, do a little something to make them fit. With this one that's on the bottom, I didn't mind that the back was loose because it's going to be sitting, and so I felt like that was fine. For the top one, I did want it to be sure that it connected in several spots on both sides, and so it is definitely connected here, and then I have at least 2 or 3 in front that it's connected. There are a couple of them that didn't reach all the way, like this one. That's okay. I had enough for it to be sturdy. All right, so let's talk about some of the details. So I have the coffin box, and you can see I have another of the spider webs in the coffin box, kind of holding up the word Fright, that I cut from just some paper, as you saw earlier, one of the ones that had the skull on it. And then I added a little bit of some of the mummy cloth that's from the Ideology Halloween line each year, and I have a bunch in my stash, so I just added it here and there. You could use moss if you don't have any of that, Spanish moss or something like that, or you could use some of the fake spider web that they have, like at the, I don't know, Halloween section of different stores. You could use some of that too. So anyway, I used that just to kind of cover up some little gappy areas and things. And you can see here a little gappy area where the end of the top of the box would be. And then the box, so this can be sitting somewhere, and I wanted it to be that if you saw it from the back side, it wouldn't be like, oh, what happened there. So I do have the back of the coffin box just so that anyone could see it. And for Fright, I cut out a couple of that word in the black heavy stock, and I layered them, and then I put the one on the front that had the inking, and so that way when you see it, it's black on the back. And for the tombstone at the bottom, I cut that out of 2 pieces of watercolor and one that was gray on both sides. So it's also very sturdy and attached to the bottom of the spring really well. I have the spiders, which you saw I did. These are double, so there's 2 of each spider, and I just flipped this one so it's going the other way. And these little guys are just cut out of distressed watercolor, and they go with the spider web, and so I just thought it would be fun to have them kind of hanging down off of the spring in some different places. So, and then on the back, I do have some of the mummy cloth on the back covering up some of where that spring is attached, so that again, if you see it, it's not, you know, really unsightly. It kind of draws you in so that you think, oh, what is that? And then you might, you know, whoever might come over and take a look at it. So I thought this was really fun to make, and really enjoyed it. I have another one planned that I want to share that will just be on my blog. I didn't make it for the live, so I'll be making it after I ship this to Tim and Mario. So anyway, if you have any questions, as always, please ask in the comments for this video or on my blog at playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. I'll be happy to try and answer any questions to the best of my ability. And if you want any of these products, as you know, they are also listed in the description for this video with my affiliate links or on my blog. So I think that's about it. I want to thank you one more time for watching this video. I so appreciate your support in watching, liking, and all that. And I want to wish you a very creative day.